Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another edition of Let's Talk Chelsea, the show where we take a look at some of the biggest news stories surrounding Chelsea in recent days. Got some exciting stories and some interesting stories to debate today and talk about, but we have to kick off by reflecting and touching on last night's victory. What a brilliant result it was, and still buzzing like a lot of you, still in shock like some of you. I think it's, just the jubilation and the excitement and celebration that came with that victory last night and performance as well. Outstanding, and just another brilliant and wonderful night for Chelsea under Frank Lampard, and it's just another brilliant step. And I just wanted to touch on, of course, the game, which is obvious, and really soak up the positive feeling around Chelsea that's been present basically since Lampard arrived, and this feels very much like the landmark of it. But as well, to promote two pieces of content I've done around the game that you can check out. So my rational perspective on the game was uploaded earlier today, so go and check that out. Video thoughts of the game, but then also, apart from video, there's also written thoughts from me on the game for the Chelsea Echo, an article where I delve into it a little bit more. So wherever you choose, definitely go and check out both. Links will be in the description box below. But going into Let's Talk Chelsea, two stories to discuss today, and one of them I did sort of mention in my team selector before Ajax that I wanted to touch on. So getting into it straight away, Olivier Giroud, and sort of his frustration around his lack of playing time under Frank Lampard this season. He's only made about 5 appearances this season, and naturally through that, he's been linked away with a January move to Crystal Palace, was linked earlier this week. Of course, there has been teams abroad as well, maybe a possible return to France to play there to get more game time than he has at Chelsea this year. And Lampard has expressed that he wants Giroud here. I want him here. That was Frank Lampard's words, and he has praised Giroud's professionalism. He's praised the professionalism of a lot of his players, especially his strikers who've had to wait, whilst Tammy Abraham has taken to the fore this season exceptionally well. And he's praised them, but of course we had the international break. When the international break happens, you usually do get quotes when players are away from the club, and Didier Deschamps was talking about Giroud's playing time under Lampard. And of course, Giroud has expressed frustration, but then also earlier in the season did express how he wanted to help younger players like Abraham improve. So I think professionalism from Giroud, I don't think is in question here, but it's natural that he obviously wants more game time because he's playing for the French national team, even though he's not a starter for Chelsea, and he's scoring for the French national team. And it's interesting for me with Giroud because he is one of those players that, since he arrived at Chelsea, you know what you're going to get from Giroud. There always is that level of performance from him. You know he's going to be physical. You know he's going to be a good target man. You know he's going to link up well with attackers, and he's able to create space. Sometimes he's a bit, and he's not that selfish as a striker sometimes. He's able to help elevate other players' games. And that's what he does, and that's why he's such a good option off the bench or in certain matches. You saw the impact he had against Liverpool earlier on in the season, scoring that goal, linking up so well with the likes of Pulisic and Pedro, I think it was, on that night, and linking with the midfield well. And it was interesting, if we go back to pre-season, all through pre-season, I think a lot of us were unsure who was going to be the main striker going into that game at Old Trafford. All 3 of the strikers had different options, had different qualities and attributes to their game, and there was sort of a real a fight on and a battle to get that number 1 spot. And then Tammy got it, and he's been flourishing, and I have to feel sympathetic towards Giroud, because when that happens, it's very hard to nudge a player like Abraham out of the team, especially when he's doing as well as he is. And of course, you think about last night, Batshuayi coming on and scoring the winner. That's not going to help Giroud in the pecking order, because Lampard seemingly, whilst at the start it looked like Giroud was his second option, it seems in recent weeks Batshuayi has become a second option, and scoring a winner like that is only going to elevate Batshuayi closer to being in the first team, whilst Giroud has to wait his turn. And it's natural that he, of course, would want to look away and maybe find minutes elsewhere. It's interesting. I'd like to hear your thoughts, because for me, I think if Chelsea's ban is lifted, potentially a move could happen here. But I think if it isn't, I think Chelsea will just want to keep a hold of players like Giroud to the end of the season, because I think Frank probably looks at it, it's a long season. Tammy's doing amazingly well, like a lot of the young players. But in certain situations, injuries, form, suspension, whatever it is, I'd like a player like Giroud on the bench, which of course isn't the perfect scenario for any player to be considered good off the bench. But I think it's the situation Giroud finds himself in. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. The next story is about Roman Abramovich and his exile from the UK, and naturally the linking of that to him selling the club. The Telegraph wrote an article this week basically talking about his exile and hoped to sort of lift the lid on his life away from the UK, because of course Roman is such a mysterious figure. There's not a lot we know about him, so it was trying to sort of look into that and look at what he's been up to and where he finds himself currently after of course the visa problem and the conflict with the UK and of course the political situation, which I'm not going to delve into too much here. But the interesting thing from this article, which was about selling the club. Now, apparently in this article, it is claimed that Chelsea owner Roman Abramovich turned down an offer from a Middle East consortium to buy Chelsea. Abramovich insists Chelsea is not for sale, but it's claimed that he'd consider offers if he receives a bid in the region of $3 billion. And it's interesting because, of course, I think this links into the stadium redevelopment, which of course got put on hold. I think it was about May 2018. And the club has commented recently on that there hasn't been any change in that. The club aren't preparing to restart that development of Stamford Bridge. And you know, we look across, you know, London to Spurs, their new stadium, and other clubs, and Chelsea wanted to sort of take that next step in terms of the stadium. And that's a bit of a frustration because, like myself, I thought it was a really nice middle ground of not moving away from Stamford Bridge, but really increasing the capacity, making it a much more modern stadium. Of course, that's been put on hold, and the sort of the distance of Roman from the club has only naturally led to more rumours, more speculation about him being a distant owner and eventually wanting to sell. Of course, there's been bids, there's been interest from the Middle East, from America, from a variety of places, and nothing has materialised on that. You know, I can only express, you know, my gratitude to Roman, and I'm sure like most of us will, you know, in terms of what he's done and transformed the club and taken us to the heights we are right now. Whenever stories come up about him, there's so much mystery, as I alluded to earlier. It's very hard to guess or even second guess what he's thinking and what his motives are and what he thinks about the club. We can only ever go by his actions, whether that's, you know, second a manager, employing a manager, you know, putting money into the club for transfers. That's all we can really go by, because I think there's a lot of people that like to say what Roman's thinking, but I think because of the distance he keeps for himself, it's very hard to predict that. But I just find it interesting what is going to happen. Is he going to sell in the next couple of years? What are Chelsea fans feeling about that? You know, we've had such a good owner in Roman, of what he's been able to do for the club and transform the club. You know, there is that fear of someone else coming in who won't be able to replicate that. And really, we've got into a position now where we're in sort of a different era under Roman, hoping to look more into the academy to build, and looking maybe in different directions, not spending as much on transfers. So it's going to be interesting this next period what happens. You know, if the political situation changes, would Roman come back into the country? If he comes back into the country, does that mean he takes a more active role again and all of these rumours are put to bed? I think a lot has to sort of move for that to happen, that are sort of outside of football in truth. But let me know your thoughts on Roman. Do you think he's going to sell? Do you think he wants to keep the club? Where do you think Roman's left at the moment? Do you think a bid or a sale is even close, or do you think it's a lot of rumours, it's a lot of spoken mirrors, and actually it's nowhere close, and Roman is exactly where he was before, and he loves Chelsea. He wants to keep supporting the club and putting his money into the club. Let me know in the comments below. So that's it for this edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. Let me know your thoughts on everything we discussed in the comments below. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter @SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again.